smooth as its name. By manufacturers Hanover Trust, we realize your potential. By Nissan, who invites you to test drive the totally new 1987 Nissan Stanza at your Nissan dealer now. By Burger King, home of the Double Deluxe. Burger King, we know how burgers should be. By AT&T, the right choice. By your New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Tri-State Lincoln Mercury dealers. By RC Cola, people go out of their way for the taste of RC. And by Sports Illustrated, where each week over 14 million readers get the feeling. Live from Shea Stadium in New York, WOR-TV presents New York Mets baseball. As this afternoon, the Mets take on the Atlanta Braves. Pitching for the Braves this afternoon, right-hander Doyle Alexander. Since joining the Braves, 1-0 with a 2.57 ERA. And on the mound for the Mets, right-hander Ron Darling, who is 8-2 with an ERA of 3.06.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Kiner, along with Tim McCarver and Steve Zabriskie, all set for the final game with the Atlanta Braves here at Shea Stadium this year. The final game before the All-Star break, and the Mets come in with a record going to 58 wins, 25 losses. Their best ever start for the Mets, and they're in first place by 12.5 games. And going against the Mets, Doyle Alexander, who last lost to the Mets. He has not won since back in 1981 when he was pitching for San Francisco.
And a very emotion-packed day, and I don't think the emotions are going to subside here at Shea. Ron Darling going for his 9th victory, and of course he's only 2 shy of double figures. Bobby Ojeda, Sid Fernandez, and Dwight Gooden. Of course, Fernandez and Gooden will be in the All-Star game, but all are in double figures in the Mets with an outside chance, more than an outside chance, of having 4 20-game winners this year.
And we'll be back with the start of this final game before the All-Star break in just a moment after this message from Busch Beer. And the Mets trying to get this ball game in before the predicted rain showers hit the area. So far, everything is fine. We're right on time. And for the Mets, defensively, it's Keith Hernandez at first base. At second base, Wally Backman. The shortstop today, Rafael Santana. Playing third base, Ray Knight. Out in left field, George Foster. In center field, Len Dykstra. And in right field, Darryl Strawberry. Darryl on the National League All-Star team. Also, Gary Carter on the National League All-Star team as the starting catcher. And Ron Darling, the pitcher. Darling with a record of 8-2. He has an earned run average of 3.06. 42 walks, 88 strikeouts, 91 hits in 115 innings. And Ron Darling with a lifetime record of 5-0 against Atlanta.
And the lineup for the Atlanta Braves, Omar Marino, the right fielder, leading off. Kind of strange to see Omar in right field. Ken Oberkfell, the third baseman, batting second. Dale Murphy, also an all-star in center field and hitting third. Bob Horner, the first baseman, batting fourth. Ken Griffey in left field, batting fifth. Andres Thomas, a fine young rookie shortstop, hitting sixth. Bruce Benedict, the catcher, batting seventh. Glenn Hubbard at second base, hitting eighth. And Doyle Alexander, in his second National League start this year, is batting ninth.
And the umpires for the game today, Dana DeMuth behind home plate. Terry Tater, the umpire at first base. Jerry Crawford, the umpire at second. And Charlie Williams, the umpire at third. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the New York Mets and WOR-TV and is intended solely for the private non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the New York Mets and WOR-TV is prohibited. Well, the Mets with their best record ever going into this ball game with a record of 58-25, and Omar Marino to come up as the first batter in the ball game. Marino hitting .243, 2 home runs, 16 runs batted in. And as a leadoff batter, to give you the perspective, his on-base average, that includes hits, walks, and being hit by a pitch ball, under 300. So you wonder a little bit about why Marino is a leadoff batter, but again, he has good speed. He can steal bases. He has had 12 stolen bases this year, but his problem is getting on base. Against the Mets, 1 for 12 this year, 083. And Ron Darling starts off the ball game with a fastball right down the middle. Omar Marino, much-traveled ball player. Twice has led the National League in stolen bases. Did that with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Braves have lost 8 of their last 9 ball games, and against the Mets they have won 2 and lost 6 of the 8 games played. And that pitch a ball, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Ron Darling with a lifetime record of 37-20. He has yet to lose to the Atlanta Braves. 5-0. Last year he won 16 and lost 6, and the split-finger fastball swung on a miss, 1-2. A splitter. Darling will throw a fastball right around 90 miles an hour. He has that change of pace, the split-finger fastball. Also throws a curveball and does occasionally throw a slider. There's a fastball hit foul. So the count stays at 1-2. Omar Marino did some duty across town for the New York Yankees and then was traded. Ron Darling has given up 12 home runs this year in a total of 114 and 2/3 innings. And Marino goes after the breaking ball. And again, a foul ball, 1-2.
Marino went to the Yankees in the Jerry Mumphrey deal. He was cut loose by the Yankees and went to spring training as a non-roster player and hooked on with the Braves after a strong spring. Batted .340 this spring.
1985, he batted .107 with the Yankees in 34 ball games. 1 home run, 4 runs batted in. Ron Darling, born in Hawaii, attended Yale, and with a record of 8-2. And Marino looks again. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Marino signed as a free agent, meaning that you have a right to negotiate with any ball club around. There's Chuck Tanner, who hit a home run his first pitch in the major league. That's strike 3. So Darling starts off with a strikeout.
That's the split-finger fastball. If you remember, that's how Darling got to 1-2, and he finishes the deal in the same fashion. Ball going down. Most hitters will swing over that pitch, and that's what Marino did.
And the strikeout brings up Ken Obergefell. Ken hitting .301 for the year with 5 home runs, 33 RBIs. Has a fine on-base percentage, and he looks at a fastball and calls strike. Obi has an on-base percentage of .388. He has had 38 walks, and he's number 7 in the National League in hitting with his .301 average. And the fastball into left center, a base hit. Obergefell gets his 5th hit against the Mets this year, makes a big turn at first. The ball tossed back in by Dykstra, and Obergefell goes back to first. So the first hit of the ball game. That'll bring up Dale Murphy. Murphy hitting .276 with 14 home runs, 36 runs batted in. Had his consecutive game streak of 740 games stopped when he sat out of the ball game a few days ago. Runner at first base, 1 away. Dale Murphy hitting .318 against the Mets this year with 1 home run, and the fastball is top foul for strike 1. Murphy's home run coming as a pinch hitter to keep that hitting streak alive after he had 5 stitches in his hand, which he cut against the fence in the previous ball game. And that pinch hit home run came off a high curveball off Dwight Gooden. It was hit in Atlanta. 1 strike to count, and now the count 1-1.
Darling had a no decision against Atlanta earlier this year. That game won by the Mets 10-5. 3-0 last year against Atlanta.
And the split-finger fastball is missed, and it's 1-2. Ron Darling has said before that he portends to have no decision.
Split-finger fastball, and what do you mean by that? 1-2 to
Nature portends. Only a man from Yale could say something like that. He had 25 the last 2 years, and has, I think, 7 this year, doesn't he? 1-2 to Dale Murphy. And now 2-2. Missed for the fastball.
Matter of fact, Darling off of 3 no decisions. Last 3 starts, Ron has received no decisions and has averaged 8 innings pitched in those 3 starts. He has really pitched well.
And there's ball 3. Darling is not the first Yale man to pitch for the Mets. In fact, in 1962, Ken McKenzie was the only winning pitcher for the Mets that year when they lost 140 ball games, make that 120 ball games. Ken McKenzie with a record of 5-4.
Then he went on to be the coach at Yale, the baseball coach.
And he was here for the ceremonies yesterday, Old Timers Day, honoring 25 years of Met history. Ken McKenzie tried to get a raise from George Weiss. Said he was the poorest paid member of his graduating class pitching for the Mets. Runner goes in a 3-2 pitch, and the ball popped up in foul territory. Keith Hernandez looking, Carter over looking, and it looks to be in the stand. So the count remains at 3-2 on Dale Murphy. Murphy has had 50 walks this year, but he also has averaged about a strikeout a game. He's had 79 strikeouts. On deck batter, Bob Horner. I'm sure he's going to be happy to get away from the Mets for a while. Came in here talking about Bob Horner after hitting 4 home runs in the ball game. Runner goes, and this ball hit foul on the left side. So on this threatening day, we have another fine crowd on hand. The Mets have averaged 36,323 this year. Atlanta averaging 21,341. Look at this nice crowd for a day honoring Rusty Staub.
No way to rain before the game. Rusty had too much going for him.
Didn't he, though?
Number 1 himself. And number 2, Cardinal O'Connor, Cardinal John O'Connor, the Bishop of the Diocese of New York.
Toss to first base. I'll never forget Bing Crosby one time asking a priest about the weather. He says, that's not my department. He says, I'm in sales. The man upstairs is in administration. 3-2 to count. Runner goes again, and it's ball 4, so now runners at first and second as Darling falls into sort of a syndrome that he has developed with the New York Mets. Walking batters and putting himself in tough positions. Now runners at first and second with 1 man out, and Bob Horner to contend with. Horner 2 for 26 against the Mets, is still hitting .278. Horner with 17 home runs, 56 RBIs. And of those 17 home runs, 4 in 1 ball game. The 11th man to hit 4 in 1 game. And the pitch outside for ball 1. And he's only the second since the beginning of baseball in 1876 to hit 4 home runs in 1 game and lose. His team losing that day. First in modern day time. And there's his average against the Mets, 0.77. And a split finger change up, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
Ed Delahanty hit 4 home runs for the Philadelphia Phillies in 1896. Another split finger fastball to Horner. And the Phillies lost that day.
And Horner, when he hit the 4 home runs, saw his team lose 11-8. Almost to the day, only a week off from the time that Delahanty hit his 4. Delahanty hit his 4 home runs in the losing cause on July 13th, 1896. Horner hit his 4 home runs July 6th, 1986. And the fastball fouled off. It's 2-2.
And if you're a maven of baseball history, you will know that Ed Delahanty, about 15 years later, I believe it was around 1910, either jumped off a bridge near Niagara Falls or jumped out of a train near Niagara Falls. The mystery is still unsolved.
That is true.
They don't know whether it was a suicide or not. And I would imagine it will remain unsolved.
There were 5 Delahanty brothers that played in the Major Leagues. And there's strike 3. Horner 2 for 27 against the Mets.
Well, when you throw a lot of off-speed pitches, you are vulnerable to the fastball. And Horner was, and Darling knew that. Korner takes a fastball that he normally hammers, but after seeing all of those split-finger fastballs and curveballs, Bob takes a good strike.
Far enough away, he can't hear you. Now Ken Griffey, the batter, and Ken hitting .291, 1 home run, 3 runs batted in since coming back to the National League. Had a 19-game hitting streak stopped here in this series by the Mets. So a nice stop by Carter as he holds the runners. Obert fell back to second base, Murphy back to first. That 19-game hitting streak was compiled in the American League and the National League. 10 games in the American League, then being traded to the Braves, and 9 more games, but it was stopped. Griffey against the Mets, 2 for 10. One time lost a batting title the last day of the season to Bill Madlock, who got 4 for 4 for the Cubs that day. Griffey sat out the start of the game. They put him in, but it was too late.
That was 76 for the Reds. Madlock with the Cubs at that time.
And a hard ground ball down to Hernandez, who goes to the short man. Santana at second base for the force play. That'll do it. So Darling in and out of trouble. 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 left, and the score at the end of the first half inning. The Braves nothing, the Mets coming up. Now here's a word from AT&T. Benedict, the catcher. And for the Mets, it'll be Len Dykstra the leadoff. And what a story Dykstra is printing this year. .344 batting average, 3 home runs, 23 runs batted in. Hitting .462 against Atlanta this year. And there's fastball for ball 1. He brings a 5-game hitting streak into this game. Look how he has improved that batting average. 80 points. Oh, 120 points. That 5-game hitting streak, he's hitting .636. And he's hitting .427 in his last 34 ball games. And in his last 14 games, he's had 9 two-base hits. Lenny Dykstra. And the breaking ball for a call strike 1 and 2. Dykstra with a total of 16 doubles. He has 4 three-base hits to go with his 3 home runs. Alexander with a lifetime record of 155 wins, 120 losses. 17-game winner for Toronto last year and the year before. And this ball hit hard to center field. Murphy falls down, and it's over his head. Dykstra on his way to third base. He'll make it easily. So the gods are shining on Lenny Dykstra as Murphy slips on the wet outfield turf and goes down, and the ball goes for a 3-base hit.
Triple number 5 for Len Dykstra, and you said it right. The gods certainly are with him. A little turnover screwball. Dykstra hits it fairly well, but the ball's catchable. Murphy breaks in. It hits the tip of his glove and goes into left center field. Dykstra easily on third base.
So the Mets have a runner at third base with no one out.
Appropriately, Murphy scratching his head. The Braves ought to scratch their head this series.
Well, the Mets have outscored the Braves 26 runs to 2 in the 3 previous ball games of this series. And there's a fastball to Backman for ball 1.
Maybe it's weekends. How about last weekend? Montreal scored 34 runs against the Braves in 3 games.
Wow.
26 in the last 3 against the Mets. Their starting pitching has just been terrible.
Backman hitting .335 with Dykstra the runner at first, and this ball off of the glove. Horner, Dykstra's coming home, and they pick up the out at first as the Mets take the lead 1-0. A run batted in for Backman. Even though the ball was bobbled, it was turned into an out.
The interesting thing was, after Horner bobbled this ball, he actually had a play at the plate because Dykstra had stopped. Now, Bob, you saw him look at Dykstra, but now he looks back at Alexander to get the shutout. Now, watch Dykstra. See, he stopped. Now he's dead. Now he starts again, but Horner actually had a play at him at home.
He did that, but Dykstra came in to score, and the Mets take the lead. The Mets are 43-11 in games where they have scored the first run.
Excuse me, Ralph, that's what a third base coach means when he says, make the ball go through to first or third, but use your own judgment. Dykstra used his own judgment in that particular play and scored.
And now Keith Hernandez, the batter. Keith hitting with one man out, no one on base. Keith hitting .287 for the year with 6 home runs and 38 RBIs. And Doyle Alexander with his breaking ball for ball 1. Keith against the Braves hitting .357 with 10 base hits. He has driven in 6 runs. And the pitch back is a called strike, 1 ball, 1 strike. His on-base average is .376. The Mets' first 3 hitters all over .375. Backman .385. Dykstra .419, and Keith Hernandez .376. That sets it up for remaining batters in the batting order, and Gary Carter has used that to lead the National League in runs batted in. Carter, the on-deck batter.
Rusty Staub wig.
La Grande Orange. Huh? And the fastball, and the count 3-1 to Keith Hernandez.
Really funny, before the game, honoring Rusty Staub, when about 20 Met members came out of the dugout emulating Rusty. All of them had red wigs on. That was funny.
And padded stomach.
Yeah.
And the 3-1 pitch drilled to right field, but easing back is Marino, normally a center fielder, and he puts it away. Well hit ball by Hernandez for turning to an out. Alexander is only one of 5 pitchers to record wins over all current 26 Major League clubs. Mike Torres, Rick Wise, Gaylord Perry, and Don Sutton.
Of course, you have to be an active player after 1977 because that's when the Toronto Blue Jays and the Seattle Mariners came into being.
Now it's Gary Carter, hitting .255 with 16 home runs, 65 RBIs, National League leader in runs batted in. Carter 6 for 10 in this series with 3 home runs and 8 runs batted in. One of those 3 home runs is 10th career Grand Slam home run. Dave Kingman leads all active players in Grand Slam home runs with a total of 15. Then it's George Foster and Eddie Murray, both at 13. 1 strike to count. And the fastball's just missing. 1-1. Carter brought a 5-game hitting streak into this game with 8 base hits, hitting .442. Alexander lifetime against the Mets 1-3. And this ball hit to left field, might drop in, coming hard is Griffey, can't get to it, and Carter has another hit. So Carter with his 7th hit of this series.
You almost have to take off the mitt and use your other hand when you're calling pitches for Doyle Alexander. He'll drop down over the top, change speed, turn the ball over, wrinkle in the curveball, occasional slider, and when you get a fastball, you're so stunned with it, you rarely hit it on the good part of the bat. Get a lot of funky hits against a guy like Alexander.
And it brings up Darryl Strawberry. Strawberry hitting .298 with 14 home runs, 46 runs batted in, and the first pitch ball 1.
Monchak moving Ken Griffey back in left field. Obvious reason. Strawberry with tremendous power the other way.
Have an eye in the sky, and that man used to be a first baseman for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Tony Barterone. He had been the trainer for the Pirates when Chuck Tanner moved to Atlanta. Took over the Atlanta job, and he brought along Tony Barterone to be a coach. And he sits up in the press box to move the players around, the eye in the sky. And another one out of the strike zone, 2-1.
There you saw that wiping down, Alexander wiping down below his waist. He is a cagey pitcher. Usually when a pitcher wipes down like that, if a slider's called, then he takes 2 off. Now he's wiping up to add 2. Probably a breaking ball, but it wasn't.
He had 4 fingers down there, and you're right, Tim. You got to take your glove off.
Oh, yeah, you got to invite people to come back behind home plate to help you give signs. This guy's got more pitches than you can imagine. Have a party and give signs.
He's a Thomas Edison out there. Oh, he invents things. 2-2 pitch. He comes off the top, and Strawberry fouls off a fastball. Counted 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He'll quick pitch you. He is a good pitcher. 17 and 10 last year. As a matter of fact, he pitched the clinching game the next to the last day of the season against the New York Yankees.
And he takes something off that one, and it's 3-2. Put a little on, take a little off, don't throw him Uncle Charlie, is the old expression. Alexander started his career with the Dodgers, 44th round selection in the June 1968 draft. For the Dodgers in 71, he was only there 1 year. He was 6-6. He's traded to Baltimore. The Frank Robinson deal. And there's Strawberry missing, and the strikeout ends the inning. Mets get 1 run on 2 hits, and 1 man left on base. The score at the end of 1 inning to play here, Shea. It's the Mets 1 and the Atlanta Braves nothing. Now here's a word from Sony. A score 1-0 on that stat about Doyle Alexander beating all the teams that are in baseball currently. We've had some calls about Tom Seaver being the man to have done that along with a few others. That's not true. Tom Seaver has never beaten the Chicago White Sox. He might have a chance to now that he's with the Red Sox, but he has never beaten the White Sox because he pitched for them. Andres Thomas will lead it off for the Braves. Mets with 1 run on 2 hits. The Braves have no runs on 1. Thomas batting for the first time. And Ron Darling misses with a fastball. Thomas hitting .307 with 4 home runs, 17 RBIs. Batting .190 against the Mets. And he goes after an off-speed pitch. It's a tough play for Darling. He tries to get it to first base on a toss throw and can't get it there in time. A base hit all the way. Boy, he makes a great pitch like this, and look at the base hit that turns up.
Well, sometimes the pitch is too good. A little chopper down the mound. Ron makes that play a lot of times, but you've never seen him make it successfully. That's a third baseman's ball, and the only thing Ron can do on a play like that, I understand his aggressiveness, but the only thing he can do is get hurt on a play like that. You'll never make that play.
Should be a spectator. You got your momentum going the wrong way, and you can't get anything on the ball. Third baseman is coming in. He can fire the ball to first. Now the batter will be the catcher, Bruce Benedict. Benedict hitting .297. No home runs, 8 runs batted in. And the pitch to Benedict, a fastball for ball 1. Sun trying to break through here at Shea Stadium. A little bit brighter now. Another fine crowd on hand in spite of the threatening rain. Throw to first base and Thomas back. Thomas has had 2 stolen bases. The Braves have run 91 times this year. They've been successful 51.
If they run here, and they may very well run, well, Benedict will be asked to put the ball in play.
There goes the runner, and no swing. The throw to second way early, and Thomas is thrown out. I wonder if Benedict missed the hit and run.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes that fastball inside will freeze the hitter. That may have happened, but you see, Benedict, I can't believe this is a straight steal. Thomas caught easily, didn't have a good jump. And on the hit and run play, you don't have to have a good jump. Ball may have just tied Benedict up, but you got to fight it off and protect the runner. He didn't.
Tim, you've been a catcher now for, 4 decades in the major leagues. Carter's mask always turns in his head when he throws to second base. And I've had people say, why doesn't he do something about it?
Well, you can't because of that, because of the plastic helmet. That the strap will stay firm on a regular hat, but because most catchers wear that plastic helmet right there for protection and backswing, that thing will just spin around like that.
And a little looper out toward third base, caught by Ray Knight, and Benedict jammed and really got into his pantry there.
It doesn't matter. A throw like that, you know, it never bothers a catcher or anything like that. That ball jams Benedict. Ball's not carrying to left, I don't guess, today.
Wind's blowing in.
Wind really grabbed that ball.
Now the batter is Glenn Hubbard, hitting .240 with 3 home runs, 26 RBIs. Getting back to Carter, when he makes that throw, the mask is all right. It doesn't impair his vision. It's just that its follow-through throws that mask around and spins on his face.
That's what it does on that plastic surface. It's real fine and real smooth, and that strap will just spin around like that. Used to do the same thing with me and with most catchers.
And the breaking ball, a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike to Hubbard, who was not in the starting lineup. He was put in the lineup, and Ramirez was scratched. Ramirez hitting .232. Hubbard with a batting average of .240 with 3 home runs, 26 RBIs. Hubbard one time posed for a bubblegum card with a snake wrapped all around it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And the fastball fouled off, and it's 2-2.
Well, you know, with some things, you say, well, there are worse things. I can't think of a worse thing than having a snake wrapped around your neck.
That was a big one, too.
Yeah, it's one of those boa constrictors.
Oh, they can squeeze you. Like some umpires do. 2-2 pitch, and it's fouled off. Another fastball. Darling with 2 strikeouts in his first inning. Now working with 2 men out in the second. Mets leading 1-0. Splitter, the change of pace that gets him. So Darling gets his 3rd strikeout. That ends the inning. And the score at the end of 1.5 innings, it's the Mets 1 and the Braves 0. Now here's a word from Purolator Courier. Hot South to battle it out with the Houston Astros. Catch the excitement as the New York Mets bring it home Thursday night at 8:30 on Channel 9. And bringing it home right now to you, Tim McCarver.
All right, Ralph, thanks a lot. Doyle Alexander, 35 years old, and his 2nd National League start this year. He was 5-4 with Toronto before being traded for Dwayne Ward. Matter of fact, the Blue Jays and Blue Jays and Braves. I'm thinking of my old team, the Atlanta Crackers.
You bet.
Played for them in '62, but the Atlanta Braves exchanged right-handed pitchers. Joe Johnson and Dwayne Ward going to the Blue Jays. 2 separate deals. And in the process, the Braves got Jim Acker and Doyle Alexander. George Foster leads it off. 244 average. 4 for 20 against Atlanta pitching this year. 46 career dingers. Matter of fact, his only 3 home run game came against Atlanta back in 1977, a year in which he had 52 home runs.
Become the 10th man to hit 50 home runs or more in a single season.
I love it.
There
Look
it
at
is.
that. That's great.
Keith Hernandez looks great in orange, doesn't he?
Of that whole group, Rusty Staub, the only guy who looked good in orange.
And that was a total surprise to Rusty. He didn't know that took place. They got it all secretly done. All those padded bellies. I love that, too.
Yeah, that was great. 1-0, New York on top, bottom of the 2nd inning. Slider outside. Remarks by all the luminaries down on the field, and Freddie Roman got nipped by the plane, didn't he, Ralph?
He sure did. That's the only way to keep him off the microphone. Have those planes fall back.
Freddie in our booth right now. Very, very funny man. 1-0 to George Foster.
He's going to do a performance for Bob Ojeda tonight. Bob going up to one of the Catskill hotels in Concord, and he's going to be in the audience, and Freddie's going to do his whole show right to Bob Ojeda.
Bob, of course, going up. Soak up a few rays once this cloud cover lifts tomorrow and Tuesday. George Foster, I took a little mini survey asking the guys what they were doing. George Foster's going to work out. Said he's going to try to have a good second half, come thundering out of the chute. We'll tell you what some more of the guys are going to do. Some really weird things. Ball hit well to left field, but Ken Griffey right there. So Foster hit it well. 1 out here in the 2nd inning. Doyle Alexander behind 1-0, and the batter Ray Knight.
I know what Ray Knight might be doing.
Probably playing a little golf.
Yeah, his wife's getting ready to go back in the circuit. He might be shagging balls for Nancy.
Nothing wrong with that. Rafael Santana said he's going to lay back. Steve Garland, the trainer, said he is going back to Virginia to water his lawn. I said, what, you're going back to water your lawn? He said, that's right. We'll be going back. Len Dyskstra going down to Jackson, Mississippi to sleep. I said, you can't sleep up here. Better sleeping weather down south. Roger McDowell and his wife going down to Jackson to do some fishing. Sounds relaxing. Thought it was really interesting to find out what the guys are going to be doing. 5 Met members, obviously, going to the All-Star game. Tight fastball, 1-1 tonight, batting .294.
There are a few players that don't want to go to the All-Star game. They'd rather have the day off.
I've never understood that.
I haven't either.
That is the most ridiculous thing. I've never understood how any player, that's like turning down an Academy Award. And I guess Marlon Brando's done it. George Scott
did it.
Yep, but I'll never understand that either. But when you're selected by people in this country and/or your players, that doesn't exist anymore, and you turn it down for 3 days. I don't understand that. It's ridiculous. Nonetheless, there are those. 2-1 tonight. Hit hard, but there's Alexander. Kind of one of those semi-line drives. 2 out. The way he caught that ball was a matter of self-preservation.
Number 3, shortstop, Rafael
Santana batting .167 with 4 extra base hits.
I think the best remark, although it was done, in my opinion, in very poor taste, was Gary Templeton's remark when he was not elected as the #1 shortstop, so he wasn't starting. He was put on the team back in 1979. He says, if I ain't starting, I ain't departing.
Sounded good, but I agree, in poor taste. 1-1 to Santana. Fly ball right side. Marino playing shallow. Makes an easy play out of it. 4 in a row retired by Alexander. But after 2, he and the Braves trail 1-0. We'll be back after this word from Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, he's ready.
How does it feel when the phone rings and it's for me? Who's batting? Who am I facing? Nervous? I want that nervous edge.
Come on, let's go get him.
Keep cool. Keep cool.
Keep it down, buddy.
I can't trust what I got in the bullpen. Here goes nothing. Sports Illustrated. Get the feeling.
Ron Darling trying for his 9th win. An overcast day here at Shea. It has been threatening, actually, since the beginning of yesterday's game. A game delayed about an hour. And that game was completed to the dismay of the Braves as they lost 10-1. Their 3rd straight drubbing by the Mets. Strike 1 to Doyle Alexander. How about this? He comes over to the Braves, hadn't hit in 5 years, and goes 2 for 4 in his first outing. No big deal, right? That hitting.
Makes it look awfully easy, doesn't it?
Telling you, we talk about all this strategy and everything up here. 0-2. Got him with the breaking ball. Strikeout number 4 for Ron Darling. There's one away here in the 3rd.
Well, right here, Darling goes to the spinner, and it's a beauty. That takes that bat right out of the hand of most hitters. That good curveball.
Made honest folks out of a lot of people.
Marino.
Omar Marino, the batter. Omar struck out on the splitter, as Ralph is so fond of calling it. I tell you, that's a nice term. I like that. Split finger fastball. Got to have a name for it. And Ralph got a telegram suggesting that it be called the splitter, and we have taken to that. Might catch on.
Well, actually, as you say, a split finger fastball, that would connotate a fast pitch, but actually it's a change-up pitch. So that's really a misnomer. It's really a change-up is what it is.
It's thrown with the same arm motion. A bunt attempt. Darling to Hernandez. What a play by Hernandez. Now Hernandez broke the wrong way to begin with. However, he recovered in fine fashion. Man.
Both ends of this play, outstanding. Darling to get it. Keith was going after the ball. He thought I was by Darling, but Darling makes this fine pickup, and now Hernandez has to change directions. There he comes back to the bag and does a ballet leap, and there he is. Beautiful play on both ends. The Mets get you with defense, too.
Boy, I mean to tell you they can, especially on that right side. Keith Hernandez, the Gold Glover, 4 in a row retired by Darling. And the curveball is low to Ken Oberkfell, who has the only one of 2 hits, I should say, for the Braves. 1-1. Talked to Ron, incidentally, about what he was doing during the All-Star break. He's going to visit his mom up in Massachusetts. He and his wife, Tony, taking off after the game today. He hopes it'll be on a winning note. 2 out here in the third. He leads 1-0. Jams him with a fastball, and it might drop, and does. So Oberkfell, 2 hits in virtually the same spot.
Singled his first time up in the first inning to left center. This one a jam job that he just does get over the infield, a drop in. And it puts Dale Murphy up.
Dale walked his first time up. Darling has struck out 4 and walked 1. Murphy, the starting center fielder Tuesday night in Houston. The 53rd annual All-Star Game. The Classic started back in 1933 at Comiskey Park, July 6th. Ground ball sharply. Good play, Backman. And he gets Oberkfell on the 4th. No runs, a hit, 1 left here in the 3rd inning. And after 2.5, it's 1-0. New York. We'll be back after this word from Nissan. The Mets go on the road for 11 days. Then they return home from their 2-week road trip to take on Ryan Sandberg and the Chicago Cubs. Single games July 28th and 30th, and a twilight doubleheader on Tuesday night, July 29th. Following the Cubs, Andre Dawson, Tim Raines, and the second-place Montreal Expos come to town August 1, 2, and 3. You can purchase your tickets now at all Ticketron outlets at Shea Stadium's advanced ticket window, or you can call 718-507-TIXX for more information.
Well, last night I got a chance with the old-timers to see one of the most amazing films that you'll ever want to see, and it's available to the public. It's the Mets' 25th anniversary film. It's called An Amazing Era, and it starts with Casey Stengel back in 1962 in spring training. The pictures are so old that it's in black and white, and it is outstanding.
Right.
And we recommend to you that you buy it. It's available. It'll never be shown on TV. It goes from Casey Stengel to a very emotional speech by Tom Seaver when he was traded to the Cincinnati Reds. It'll bring tears to your eye, or to your eyes. And Dwight Gooden is in it, too. They're all in there, and a tape called An Amazing Era. To order your copy, send a check or money order made payable to the New York Mets for $22.95, which includes postage and handling, and send that check to Promotions Graphics, Department L, 160 Barrack Street, New York, New York, 113. Please specify VHS or Beta. And
also, Met fans, excuse me, Ralph, when you've got a major league thirst while you're watching that film, don't just reach for a beer, head for the mountains and the refreshingly smooth taste of Busch beer.
Get a couple of Busch beers because it's worth it.
About an hour and 10 minutes long, right?
An hour and 10 minutes. It's broken into 3 different phases. The early years, the great years, and right on down.
Darling, a high chopper, snared by Oberkfell. 5 in a row retired by Alexander. I have not seen the film yet, but I am looking forward to seeing it.
See, they got a few of your emotional calls in there on home runs and 1 ball game.
Don't get emotional.
Well, you have an even disposition. Always out of it.
Now, wait a minute. You will be hearing from my lawyers tomorrow, pal.
I'll be in Houston tomorrow. I'm leaving the country.
Dykstra takes the don't get me started. 1-0 to Dykstra. Breaking balls inside. He tripled and scored a run in the first. 1-0 New York leads. Bottom of the third inning. Swings and misses at a fastball. 1-1 to Len. You got me.
Len, with that triple, extends his hitting streak to 6 consecutive games.
Big crowd on hand, saying thanks to Rusty Staub. Screwball is down low, 2-1. Say George Surratt would be proud of Bill Webb. Foul back, 2-2. George Surratt, of course, the pioneer in the dot impressionist painting Bill Webb captures so beautifully here at Shea. Think of that painting, Sunday in the Park with George, when a 1986 version is Sunday in the Park with Bill Webb, huh?
In the real park, though, the ballpark.
It has been a real park for the first half of this season. The Mets 58-25. Got him with a fastball. Strikeout number 2 for Alexander, and they're 2 out here in the third inning.
Well, as you can see after watching Alexander pitch, that the fastball is a prize pitch. He sets that pitch up with all his other so-called off-speed pitches and then comes sneaking that fastball through.
Wally Backman drove in the only run of the ball game with Dykstra at third base and nobody out. Backman hit a sharply hit ground ball to Bob Horner. He booted the ball, recovered to throw to Alexander, and in the process, Dykstra scored. 1-0 to Wally. One and one. The fastball caught the corner.
Got a few road games, don't they?
It's coming up right after the break. Well, of course, the Mets have been playing 33 of their last 46 games here at home since May 25th. Screwball and a good one, 1-2. May 25th, they were 4 games ahead of the Expos. They've increased that lead to 12.5.
You don't see many right-handers throw screwballs. Of course, Marshall was the primary outstanding screwball pitcher a few years back when he did so well of relief.
Won the Cy Young Award in '74 for the Dodgers. Backman fly ball to left, easy play for Griffey. 7 in a row retired. Chuck Tanner thinking Alexander's great, and after 3, it's 1-0. New York. Now here's a word from Busch Beer.
No, also in that department, as we get set to go here to the top of the 4th, Channel 9 presents a tribute to the legendary actor Rock Hudson. You'll laugh, cry, and cheer as Channel 9 brings you 3 of his most memorable films, beginning Monday at 9 with Pillow Talk, followed by a magnificent obsession on Tuesday, and concluding with Torbrook Wednesday on the $1 Million Movie. And coming in for the play-by-play in the top of the 4th, Steve Zabriskie.
Thanks, Ralph. And Bob Horner quickly in the hole to Ron Darling, 0-2. Horner struck out in the first inning and has had only 2 hits in 27 times at bat against the Mets this year. And it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ken Griffey and Andres Thomas to follow, with the Mets leading 1-0 in the top of the 4th inning. That's breaking ball way outside. So it's 2-2. Darling so far given up 3 hits. He has struck out 4 and walked 1. And a line shot for a base hit to left field. Only the 3rd hit for Bob Horner this season against the Mets as he leads off the 4th inning. And now let's take a look at the Nissan scoreboard.
In the National League, Cardinals and Padres later, Pirates and Giants later, Reds 2, Expos 2, top of the 6th. Phillies nothing and Astros nothing as they get underway, and Cubs and Dodgers later.
And here's Ken Griffey, who ended the first inning by grounding into a force play. And he takes a fastball for strike one. Talking to Ken before the game, and he was recounting the trials and tribulations of life in the Bronx. Needless to say, he's glad to be back in the National League. A fastball inside.
Should be a very good acquisition for the Atlanta Braves. Not that Fidel Washington was not a good player, but I think Griffey is more of, as a younger player, more of an everyday player than Fidel.
And he goes after the split finger and misses it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Griffey now 36, but still in outstanding shape, still with good running speed.
Now, he won't last long if he swings at these pitches out of the strike zone. But that split finger, the splitter, does it to you. It just drops out of the strike zone, and that's the advantage of it. It looks like it's going to be a strike, and then is not in there.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Strike 3 at the knees, a fastball. A little bit of a delayed call by Dana DeMuth, and Griffey with a few words. Strikeout number 5.
This strikeout by Darling, and after that change of pace on the splitter, he comes right back and busts the fastball right on through. That pitch too close to take under any circumstance. You can't take this pitch with the count of 2 strikes on you.
Well, I don't really know why DeMuth delayed, because that ball looked to be right there. Griffey, of course, disagrees, and here's Andres Thomas, who had an infield base hit, and he swings and misses for strike 1.
You see what I see? Sunlight. Sun's trying to get through.
Well, it had to. They just started to turn the lights on. Perfect timing.
Those are either the most powerful lights in the world or the sun's coming through.
Well, the weatherman promised sun today. Must have been outside, 1-1.
All you got to do is get above the clouds and you'll see it.
And those clouds are pretty low, because the planes that have been taking off from LaGuardia have disappeared shortly after passing the ballpark. 1-1, 1 out. Korner at first, and the bunt will go foul. Thomas's bid for a base hit turns out to be strike 2. 1-2. There you can get an idea of how low the clouds are. They're hovering right over the top of the bridge.
The Trog's Neck Bridge.
You mean that's not the George Washington?
No, and it's not the Brooklyn Bridge either. And it's not the Golden State.
I know what it's not. It's not the Golden Gate. Breaking ball, and an appeal to first base umpire Terry Tata, who says Thomas did not swing, so it's 2-2.
Here it is. It's a curveball, and Thomas starts his swing. He goes pretty far in this one. He goes far enough, really, in most cases, but he gets a break from Terry the Tata.
With a good block in the dirt. So the count now full to Andres Thomas, who is 1 for 1 and against the Mets this year, 5 for 22.
How would you like to be Charlie Williams and go through life knowing that you're the only umpire to ever throw out Steve Garvey, throw him out of a ball game? How can a man throw out Steve Garvey out of a ball game?
It'd be like throwing Dale Murphy out of a ball game.
You know he didn't swear at him.
The only time Garvey's ever been thrown out. Korner running, and the pitch fouled off. So it's still 3-2.
I guess it doesn't bother Charlie. Just stands down there in that third base line. Not on this conscience.
Umpires aren't allowed to have consciences, are they?
There he is. Only man to throw Steve Garvey out of a game in his professional career.
Korner running again, and this one blooped into short right. And Backman with the play, throwing but too late to get Horner. So 2 out as Horner remains at first.
Korner dug up about 2 feet of dirt out there halfway from first to second, putting the brakes on to get back to first base.
I know from personal experience, partner, when you get that much weight moving in one direction, you turn out being a bulldozer by the time you get going the other way. Here's Bruce Benedict, who popped out meekly, shattering his bat to Ray Knight in the second. Benedict 0 for 7 against the Mets this year, and he takes low and away for ball 1. Rounded foul. 1-1.
Steve, while we got a minute here, Gary Carter has asked us to say hello to Danny McKenna, a real big Mets fan who is watching us from Sloan Kettering Hospital. So, hello and a quick recovery we wish you.
And the same goes for Adrian Fontanez, a 10-year-old Mets fan who was operated on at Beekman Downtown Hospital. And we want to wish Adrian the best. Breaking ball low and away. 2 balls, 1 strike. Fastball right in there. 2-2.
Bruce, after several good years, has fallen down low. 202 last year, batting average 223 and 84, hit 298 and 83.
He entered this game hitting 297 and has gotten his average up recently. And that's going to be a base hit into right center field. Korner going to third. Here's the throw from Dykstra offline, and Horner's in there on the single by Bruce Benedict. Hit number 5 for Atlanta, and the Braves have runners at first and third with 2 out here in the 4th.
Ball not hit real well. He gets it in on the trademark, but it's in a perfect position for a base hit. Dykstra fires to third. The one thing that made that a good throw, even though it was offline, was that it was in position to be cut off. Therefore, Benedict could not move on down to second.
So here's Glenn Hubbard, 8th in the order, and a last-minute insertion for Rafael Ramirez. And Hubby struck out his first time up to end the second inning. He has, however, hit in 5 of the last 7 games, hitting .300, but his season average under .240. Ball 1. I think what happened was Chuck Tanner noticed that Hubbard was 7 for 20 with a home run against the Mets. And that may have been one reason why he's in there. Chuck Tanner looking for all the help he can get. Ball 2. Braves have lost 8 of their last 9 games, and the Mets, of course, have soundly thumped them the first 3 games of this series, 5-1, 11-1, and 10-1.
Outscored Atlanta 26-2 in those 3 games.
And a breaking ball on the corner. 2 balls, 1 strike. Darling, who has 4 no decisions in his last 5 starts. The other start a victory. 3-1.
Well, there's a little action going on in the bullpen. The pitcher is due up next. It's awfully early to take Alexander out of the ballgame.
Especially since he's only given up 2 hits. David Palmer starting to throw. And he is a starter ordinarily, but just about everybody's available today.
That's All-Star game time. Tom Seaver even pitched him relief the last day before the All-Star break.
And that's ball 4 as Hubbard walks to load the bases. Darling not thrilled with the call.
And Hubbard out in bunting position, actually trying to get ball 4 to get on base even though he has a runner in scoring position. I don't understand that.
Alexander.
You're up there to
with the
drive in
pitcher
run.
coming in.
Yeah, that's you're up there to drive in a run. What are you looking for a walk for in that spot? Yeah, runners at second and third, and count right there. You guess fastball and whale away.
Well, Alexander is 2 for 5, coming back to the National League.
400 hitter.
But he skies this one to short center. Dykstra coming hard, gets there. So the Braves get 2 hits and a walk and leave the bases loaded in the top of the 5th inning. It is still 1-0 New York after 3.5. And we're back to Shea after this for Burger King. Well, among the fans here enjoying the game, Joe Bealey and friends of the Mets from Metropolitan Life Insurance. And another big crowd on hand at Shea.
Well, it's the news you don't have to hurry home to catch. Weeknights at 8, join the award-winning Channel 9 news team for the latest news, weather, and sports at a more convenient time. News 9 prime time, only on Channel 9.
New York leading Atlanta 1-0 as we go to the bottom half of the 4th inning. Keith Hernandez to lead it off against Doyle Alexander. Gary Carter and Darryl Strawberry to follow. Hernandez, his first time up, hit the ball extremely well, flying out deep. Actually, was more of a line drive to Omar Moreno in deep right field. And Keith 10 for 29 against Atlanta this year. Now let's go to the Nissan American League scoreboard.
Rangers trailing the Indians 2-1, bottom of the 6th inning. Blue Jays leading the A's 4-1, top of the 6th. Angels and Red Sox in a rain delay. Orioles and White Sox no score, bottom of the 2nd. Tigers and Royals no score, top of the 2nd. Twins leading the Yankees 2-0, top of the 4th. And later on, the Mariners against the Brewers at night.
And I have to go back, Ralph, to that top half of the inning when the Braves had runners at first and third. 2 out, the number 8 hitter up there for Atlanta. Glenn Hubbard with a count 3-2. He got a pitch that was hittable, and he took it for ball 4 with a pitcher coming up next. I guess that's indicative of what the Braves are going through.
If Casey Stengel were alive today, he'd be spinning in his grave.
The Braves left the bases loaded. In fact, they have left 6 men on through the first 4 innings. And that's low, ball 1 to Hernandez. Alexander has pitched well. He has just given up a run on 2 hits. Len Dykstra leading off the bottom of the 1st with a triple and scoring on a ground out by Wally Backman. 2-0 to Hernandez. And there's strike 1. Keith, who has deserved all-star status in the past, finally receiving that recognition. Although he has appeared in all-star games, this is the first time he has ever received a start. But not the first time he has deserved a start. And a strike call, and Hernandez too thrilled with Dana DeMuth, so it's 3-2.
3 times the MVP of the year did not make the All-Star team. As you look at Keith Hernandez, look at that pitch call, a strike that looked low. Dave Parker was the MVP one year, didn't make the All-Star team. Hank Greenberg didn't make the All-Star team, was MVP. Willie Stargell was the MVP when he tied with Keith Hernandez. The only time they've had a tie in the voting for MVP did not make the All-Star team that year.
Sharply hit to second. Hubbard to Horner, 1 away.
Alexander with the Yankees was released by the Yankees. He did have a bad record, 1-9 in 2 years. He was released June 1st of 83, signed by Toronto to a minor league contract, and then came back and won 17 games the next 2 years for Toronto.
In fact, he had won 39 games in the 2.5 seasons almost. He's been with them. He's 5-4 this year. Here's Gary Carter, who singled to left back in the first, and he takes a breaking ball for ball 1. Carter leading the National League in RBIs by 3 over Mike Schmidt. And in this series, Carter has forged into the lead. 8 RBIs. Fly ball to right. Marino with an easy play and 2 out. And Alexander has been impressive.
At the plate, the right fielder,
Here's Darryl Strawberry, whom Alexander struck out to end the first inning. 1 of 2 Ks so far.
Alexander in his second stint with the Atlanta Braves.
Fastball for strike 1.
Pitch for Atlanta was 14-11, then traded to San Francisco.
May be playable, but now drifting toward the stands and back about 6 rows. So strike 2 to Darryl. Strawberry hitting .368 over the last 17 games and .371 over the last 35.
And he is the first National Leaguer to be voted onto the All-Star team his first 3 years in the Major Leagues. No National Leaguer ever made the All-Star team his first 3 years.
Didn't DiMaggio do it?
That's American League. Yeah,
I know,
Joe
I know,
did.
that's what I mean.
Yeah, Joe did.
In the American League, DiMaggio did. 1-2. Well, that's heady company right there.
Leading vote getter this year, Darryl Strawberry.
Just inside, 2-2.
Most amazing story is that Wally Joyner beat out Mattingly, who was paid in the New York area. And on their way to breaking their own record, which they set in 1970, broke last year, and now this year they'll be up to close to 3 million people.
And their record just over 2.75 million. Top of the order for the Braves in the top of the 5th. Omar Moreno, Ken Oberkfell, and Dale Murphy against Ron Darling, who in comparison to Alexander has struggled a bit. Darling's had base runners in every inning. He's faced 4 more hitters.
Atlanta has left 6 men on base, and they've had base runners in every inning.
Marino 0 for 2 is struck out and retired on a fine play by Darling and Hernandez in the 3rd, and then he fouls it off for strike 1. Has done significantly better coming off the bench as a pinch hitter than he has done in his starting roles offensively. He's hitting around 240 as a starter, but over 300 as a pinch hitter.
From Panama.
A little bit inside. 1 ball, 1 strike.
96 stolen bases one year and didn't even lead the league. Ron LaFleur had 98 that year for Montreal.
Omar now in his mid-30s, but he can still motor. And he rips this one to right. Strawberry is right there to pick the line drive for out number 1.
He caught that one like he was picking strawberry.
The tall strawberry plant.
third baseman,
You live down there where the strawberry capital of the world is, Plant City.
Correct. Not too far, about an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes from my house. Plant City, Florida. They have a big strawberry festival just about spring training time every year.
My old roommate Rip Sewell lives down in Plant City. Double amputee, plays golf in the 80s.
If it gets any hotter, he doesn't go out.
That's right. He has never played more than 9 holes. Now, he really does play in the 80s.
You're going to hear from him on
I
that.
better get that cleared up. He's tough.
Strawberry going over to retrieve a beach ball that's down by the foul line in right field, so that's the reason for the delay. Ken Oberkfell 2 for 2. He has 2 of the 5 Atlanta hits, both of them flares to left center field. It hardly bent the grass when they landed. But haven't seen a hitter yet that wouldn't take him. And he takes a fastball for strike 1.
There's an old saying, which you know well, Steve. Those line drives that are cut don't make up, those bloopers don't make up for those line drives that are cut.
There's a line drive that will not be caught. And it's past Dykstra, rolling almost to the warning track. Oberkfell doesn't run very well, but he's at second base with a 1-out double here in the 5th inning, his 3rd consecutive hit.
He has only 18 extra base hits. This is his 13th double to go with 5 home runs. And Obi hitting well against the Mets, 3 for 3 today and over 300 for the year.
Oberkfell now with 14 base hits in his last 33 at-bats on top of all of that. So he has been red hot. And Dale Murphy, who has walked and grounded into an inning-ending force play, will be the batter, 0 for 1. Murph 7 for 23 with a home run against Mets pitching this year. Ball 1. Murphy and Horner, who usually bat back-to-back in the order, have homered in the same game 31 times in their career. There's Horner on deck. 4 times it has happened this year, and as you might expect, whenever that happens, the Atlanta Braves usually win the game. Fastball just outside, so it's 3-0.
The all-time homer combination for 2 players on a team set by, this is career-wise, Hank Aaron and Eddie Matthews. They had a total of 857 home runs while playing together. 442 for Hank Aaron, 415 for Eddie Matthews.
Pretty even up.
In a single season, the all-time high, Roger Maris with 61 and Mickey Mantle with 54 home runs. Total of 115. Second to them, Babe Ruth in the season with 60 and Lou Gehrig with 47. 107 home runs together.
That's some power when you consider that the best Murphy and Horner have done together is right around 60. Those guys at 100, over 100.
When I was playing in 49, I hit 54 home runs, and as a combination unit, we had 55. No, that's not true.
I'll bet you it's not far off, though. That Pirate team you played on had very little to offer in the power department other than you.
Well, let's see. 47, Hank Greenberg hit 25, and I hit 51. That's probably the highest.
3-1 to Murphy. Fouled off, 3-2.
In 49, I hit 54, and Wally Westlake hit 23 for a 77 home run combination.
Would you have enjoyed playing in Wrigley Field your entire career rather than just at the end?
If they had those center field seats blocked out, yes.
Like they are now.
Yeah. In the old days, no.
Murphy skies one into left center field. Dykstra over calling for it. 2 away as Horner, or rather Oberkfell, holds at second. And Horner will be the batter.
I think the best hitting part was Ebbets Field. You had a good background, and you had short fences all the way around. About 335 down the line in the left, fairly close to left center. And, of course, right field was very close, but a very high fence.
The Dodgers had a rifle out there.
Carl Furillo.
Who could throw some folks out, couldn't he?
They had a sign at the bottom of the scoreboard in right center field, and if you hit the sign, it was an Abe Stark sign. If you hit the sign, you got a free suit. Nobody ever hit that sign because Furillo played right in front of it. He got a free suit. Abe had him paid off, I think.
That's strike 2 to Horner. Darling has been battling each and every inning with base runners aboard. Did face the order in the second inning because Thomas, who led off with a single, was caught stealing. So he's trying to pitch out of another mild problem here with a tying run at second base in the person of Oberkfell and 2 out. A 2-strike count to Bob Horner, who singled his last time up. Just missed.
Well, Horner beefed on being called out on strikes back in the first inning, and now it's been equalized, evened up.
One would have to think so, wouldn't one? That ball looked like it was right over the corner, but it's 1-2. Foul away.
The people ask about, do you think you'll ever see another 50 home run hitter? And it's hard to say, and I'm sure there will be. I picked Horner as the man to do it because he has such a good swing, a short swing, compact swing, doesn't strike out much. Trouble with people like Dale Murphy and Mike Schmidt. They strike out too much to hit 50 home runs.
That's a good point. What a breaking ball from Ron Darling to strike out Horner and end the inning. 1 hit and 1 left for the Atlanta Braves here in the 5th. But Ron Darling fights his way out of it again, and all goose eggs for Atlanta. The Mets lead 1-0 after 4.5. Now here's a word from Meineke Mufflers. Back game show action at 7. Climb the $100,000 pyramid with Dick Clark, followed by Jim Lang and the $1 million chance of a lifetime. That's weeknights beginning at 7:30. At 7 o'clock, right here on Channel 9.
Well, it's George Foster to lead off. Foster flied out to left field his first time up. He has hit more home runs off the Atlanta Brave pitchers than any other ball player with 46. And he comes in with 347 career home runs, number 37th on the list. George has not had a home run against Atlanta this year. And Doyle Alexander drops down and misses for ball 1.
You and Tim were talking earlier about his vast assortment of pitches multiplied by his multiplicity of deliveries.
Well, we only put 2 fingers down that time. And it's a fastball and hit to right field. Omar Marino picks up the out, 1 away. 11 in the row for Alexander as he takes on Ray Knight. Ray hit a soft line drive back to the mound that was caught his first time up. Ray has had 12 runs batted in his last 13 ball games. Overall, with 43 RBIs, 9 home runs, and a .294 batting average. Strike 1. Mets have really put some power out this year. Through their first 83 ball games, they've had 85 home runs. They lead the National League in home runs. And there's a changeup, 1 ball, 1 strike. Compared to last year, the Mets have 85 home runs this year. Last year at this time, they had 63. They had 16 three-base hits. Last year, they had 13. And they've had 146 two-base hits, and last year they had 111 at this time. So the power of production way up. And they lead the National League in hitting at 267. Cardinals last year led the National League in hitting at 264. And they are last in hitting this year.
It's been amazing. A lot of the Mets home runs, too, have come lately. They've had 54 home runs of their 85 in the last 45 games.
And the fastball fouled off. Two and two to Ray Knight. Mets leading 1-0. Got a run back in the first on a leadoff triple by Dykstra. Would have been caught, except Murphy slid on the wet grass and fell down. And Dykstra came in to score on a ground out by Backman. Only run of this game. And strike three. So Doyle Alexander picks up his third strikeout.
And as he is wont to do against right-handers when he needs an out, coming sidearm right at you. That ball, Knight mildly complaining, but that ball's right over the plate.
That brings up Rafael Santana. Rafael flied out to right field his first time up. Rafi hitting 167. And it's ball one, starting him off with a fastball. Santana 2 for 13 against Atlanta this year. And another fastball gets a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets have been in first place since April 23rd. And the fastball fouled away, 1-2. And currently the Mets are on a 3-game winning streak. They've won 12 of their last 16. And in that 12 of 16, they lost 3 in a row to the Cincinnati Reds. Houston and San Francisco tied for first in the Western Division. And it's strike three. So 2 strikeouts in the inning. And a 1-2-3 inning. 13 in a row for Doyle Alexander, and the score at the end of 5 here at Shea Stadium. The Mets 1 and the Atlanta Braves nothing. Now here's a word from Purolator Courier. Score 1-0 in spite of the fact they have only 2 hits. Braves have no runs and 6 hits off Ron Darling, and they've had a base runner, at least 1 base runner, in every inning against Darling. Braves have left 7 men on base through 5 innings.
And not to minimize, Ralph, the fine pitching performance so far by Doyle Alexander, but one factor has to be that the Mets, this lineup in particular, most of them have not seen him before, and those who have not seen him for a few years since he's last been in the National League.
Yeah, the last time he faced the Mets was back in 1981. Pitching for San Francisco, and he lost that game on May 7th to the Mets, 3-2.
Well, none of the Mets who were in the lineup for New York obviously were with the club then, but people like Hernandez and Carter and Foster and Knight, who were in the league then, probably faced Alexander when they were with other clubs at that time. But he's something new, and they've had a hard time figuring him out.
And there's something new to the National League, at least semi-new, as they brought him back to the National League. Ken Griffey. Ken started his career with Cincinnati. There's the difference in left on base right there. Mets have had just 2 hits, and they came in the first inning. Griffey has struck out and grounded into a force play, and it's count now at 1 ball and 1 strike. But looking at a fastball when he struck out. Darling has struck out 6. And the fastball chopped over second base, fielded by Santana. The throw to first base is not in time, as Griffey on the high chopper legs out a hit.
Well, Ken can still run, and of course running from the left side a tremendous advantage. Santana getting there and doing all that he can do to try to make the out, but on a very close play, Griffey did beat it.
So a runner at first base with the Mets leading 1-0. No one out, top of the 6th inning, and the batter is Andres Thomas. Thomas with an infield base hit his first time up. 1 for 2 today. Griffey draws some attention at first. 1 ball and no strikes as Carter talks it over with Darling.
The Braves now obviously much more of a running ball club, with Chuck Tanner, the manager, have stolen 52 bases in 93 attempts.
Tanner loves the stolen base. And the fastball is called strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. Darling has never lost to Atlanta. He has a record of 5-0 lifetime. This year he has a no decision against Atlanta in the game won by the Mets. And there's a breaking ball. Ball 2. 2 balls, 1 strike. And ball 3. 3-1. Darling with a record of 8-2 this year. Darling was named to the All-Star team in 1985 and did not make it this year in spite of that 8-2 record. And there's ball 4, so now runners at first and second with 1 man out. And the batter, Glenn Hubbard, who has struck out and walked. Hubbard looking for a walk with a runner at third base in the 4th inning with the pitcher due up. And he got it.
But Atlanta again failed to score.
His walk loaded up the bases for Doyle Alexander, and Alexander flied out to center field. Fastball right on the outside corner. Darling started the season with 6 wins and no losses. That tied a best ever record for a Mets pitcher. Later on, that record broken by Roger McDowell, I should say, Roger McDowell, who won his first 7. And a base hit to center field. This might tie it up. Dykstra charging. Coming around from second is Griffey. The throw is in time as Carter blocked Griffey off of the plate. And Dykstra with a perfect throw gets him at home.
Len Dykstra just continues to impress. Carter with a great job of keeping Ken Griffey about a foot away from home plate. Griffey rounding third. Looked like he stumbled a little bit. And Carter, without the ball, right there to stop him and make the tag. What a play. Fine throw by Dykstra, and a fine play by Carter at the other end to prevent the tying run from scoring.
What a job of blocking the plate by Gary Carter.
In addition to that, Hernandez jumping and faking a cutoff kept Bruce Benedict at second base on the play. Although Benedict doesn't run that well, that also could turn out to be a big factor in the inning.
Now the batter is the pitcher, Doyle Alexander, and a fastball a called strike. Alexander has been called out on strikes, and he has flied to center. In his first game back in the National League, got 2 hits and 4 at-bats. And he goes after a high fastball at strike 2. 2 men away. We're in the top of the 6th inning. The Mets leading 1-0. And Atlanta with 8 base hits. The most base hits for a pitcher pitching a shutout. 14. He's done twice. And the fastball for a ball. That's 1-2. I'm surprised they throw him a fastball in that spot. Let's go to the curve.
Don't give him anything. that he could put the bat on readily, and he obviously would have more problem hitting the breaking ball.
There's the curveball. Boy, Alexander was going, he was in Pennsylvania when that pitch was.
His front foot was way down the third baseline.
Boy, he was gone.
He was bailing like a sinking rowboat.
Back to the fastball, and now it's a 3-2 count to Alexander with Omar Marino on deck. So after getting a 2-strike count, it's gone all the way down the line. Three and two. The runners will go. And the fastball hit the center. Here comes Dyskstra. He's there. And that'll do it. So on the defense of Len Dyskstra, no runs on 2 hits and a walk, 2 men left on base, and the score at the end of 5.5 innings, it's the Mets 1, the Atlanta Braves nothing. Now here's a word from Bud Light. Little joke, actually, but a great ceremony.
Rusty probably will take his mom.
Oh, she was proud out there, wasn't she?
Well, I'll tell you, riding around in that convertible with him may have been one of the biggest thrills of her entire life, if not the biggest.
Ron Darling, the leadoff for the Mets, bottom of the 6th inning. The Mets leading 1-0. And behind Ron Darling, Len Dyskstra, the man who saved him with that fine throw to home to stop Griffey from scoring from second base on the base hit by Glenn Hubbard. 1 strike to count to Ron Darling. Darling grounded out his first time up, and Doyle Alexander misses with a fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Mets, when they are leading after 6 innings in play with a record of 48-4, and this ball hit a long way to left center field. Griffey over to the warning track, and he hauls it in. Good job by Ken Griffey playing left field to take that one, and it's 1 away.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Griffey at 36 still runs very well, and he had to catch up with this ball as Darling hit it well, but it stayed in the park, and Griffey ran it down.
So Darling back to the bench. Griffey gets a hand, and here's a hand for Len Dykstra. Lenny has scored the only run of the ball game, and he saved the run with that fine throw from center field, and he is having an all-star year. 7 for 11 in this series. The breaking ball for ball 1, hitting .344 in the year, and with his base hit in the first inning makes it .346. And this one deep to right field, way back. It's going. It is gone. Goodbye. Retired 14 in a row.
Well, he jumped all over the fastball. Len Dykstra says, well, I prevented the tying run from scoring, so let's see if we can prevent it from coming on base as he gives the Mets some insurance.
And now Wally Backman hits a high fly ball to left field on the first pitch, and he is out. Len Dykstra, what a season he is having.
Lenny's 4th home run of the year, his 24th RBI. He has a triple and a homer in this game to go with his stellar defensive work.
And Dykstra leading the Mets to a 2-0 lead with Keith Hernandez, the batter. Keith 0 for 2, flat out on a line drive to deep right his first time up and grounded out on a hard ground ball at second. And is the first home run given up by Alexander since coming back to the National League. And the first pitch is strike call.
Getting back to Dykstra for a minute. Dykstra in the last 35 games hitting about .450 with an on-base percentage near .500. Unbelievable.
And the slider inside the count 1 ball and 1 strike. Boy, he is so hot, it's unreal.
He has a 6-game hitting streak over which he's hitting near 700.
16 hits in his last 25 at-bats. 2 balls, 1 strike to Hernandez. Keith came into this game hitting .287, 6 home runs, 38 RBI. And it's hard to center field. Coming up is Murphy, and he makes the catch. So Keith has hit it hard 3 times, and he has been out 3 times. Mets get 1 run on the home run by Dykstra, leave none, and the score at the end of 6. It's the Mets 2 and the Braves nothing. Now here's a word from R.C. Cola.
And as we go to the 7th inning with the Mets now leading at 2-0 on the home run by Len Dykstra. Back in to work the final 3 with me once again, Tim McCarver.
Well, that Dykstra has been unbelievable. He's now 16 for his last 28. Unbelievable. The throw home, the triple, he scored the other run, a triple and a homer, and assist to nail Ken Griffey at home, and Marino takes the split-finger fastball for a strike. The Mets with only 3 hits, 2 by Dykstra, they lead 2-0. Man, can't do much more than he's done over the last 2 weeks.
Been the Len Dykstra show.
Yeah. Marino fouls it away, 0-2 to Omar. Ron Darling trying to win his 9th game of the year.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, if Dykstra's going down to Jackson, Mississippi to sleep over the All-Star break, the Mets are hoping that he certainly reawakens when he comes back, because he has been wide awake.
I tell you, with what he's been doing, it'd make you tired. Curveball just misses, 1-2. Those are the Miss Liberty contestants. They were just in the Diamond Vision room. And Wally Backman just gets Marino at first base. Miss Liberty contestants, I believe there are 100 young ladies who are vying for the Miss Liberty title.
Kind of think they'd have that contest prior to the 4th of July, but I guess Miss Liberty's official birthday really isn't until October.
That's correct.
So this being the entire year that we are celebrating that, the contest held after the 4th. Kenny Oberkfell with 2 singles and a double. He has been perfect. The Braves have stranded 9 runners in 6 innings. They trailed 2-0. Mets looking for 4 in a row over Atlanta, and there is the 4th straight hit for Ken Oberkfell. Hernandez had a shot at it just off his glove. Oberkfell at first with 1 out. And this is the hardest hit ball of the 4 by Oberkfell, as Hernandez, fully extended, just has the ball go off the top of his webbing. 3rd single to go with a double for Ken Oberkfell.
And Dale Murphy represents a tying run. Dale has been quiet today, 0 for 2 with a walk. Tried to hold up, but that big hand just carried that bat through. It's tough for a guy like Dale Murphy to hold up.
Long arms, big bat, big swing. Get all that going, and you just can't stop it.
He had a fastball swing and a breaking ball. 0-1. Ball 1, 1-1.
Braves are going to be real happy to get out of town after getting pounded the first 3 games. Here, Doyle Alexander comes out and pitches a stellar performance. He's only given up 3 hits. He at one point retired 14 in a row, and they're down 2-0 in this game.
Split finger fastball caught the corner, 1-2.
You see that the Mets with just 3 hits, while the Braves have had at least 1 in every single inning off Darling.
Stranding 9. They have a runner at first base in the person of Ken Oberkfell. Mets trying to go 59-25 in the first half. Ground ball sharply. Nice play. Backman will go to second for the lead runner. Strong play by Wally Backman. 2 out.
And not every second baseman would make the effort to go to second. A lot of guys would come up after a play like that and just go ahead and throw to first, most of them without even looking, but not Backman. You talk about being in the game all the time. He knows who's running. Oberkfell not with great speed. And Wally fought his way to his knees and threw him out.
Bob Horner, the batter. Bob is 1 for 3. A couple of strikeouts and a base hit. 0-1 to Bob Horner. Braves have lost 8 out of 9 games. 3 to the Expos, 2 out of 3 to the Phillies, and 3 here to the Mets. Good cut, fouls it back, 0-2. Still raining up at the Big O in Montreal, with Cincinnati leading 3-2. If the scores remain the same, the Mets will have a 13.5 game lead. It's mind-boggling. Fastball on the corner, get Korner. For the Braves in the 7th, no runs, 1 hit, and 1 left. The Braves have now stranded 10 through 7 innings, and after 6.5 trail 2-0. We'll be back after this word from JVC. Bottom of the 7th inning. Doyle Alexander has pitched very, very well. Len Dyskstra led off this ball game with a triple, and he scored on an RBI infield out by Wally Backman. And then, after Gary Carter singled, Alexander retired 14 in a row before Dykstra again with a home run, his 4th of the year. So Alexander has retired 16 out of his last 17. The only base hit since Carter's single in the first, a home run by Dykstra. 2-0 New York. 9 hits for the Braves, 3 for the Mets. Carter 1 for 2.
What a series Gary Carter has had. He's had 7 hits in 12 times up, 3 homers, 8 RBIs, and he scored 6 runs.
3-run shot and a grand slam home run to drive in 7 and 2 at bats on Friday night. Fastball is outside and low. 1-0 to Gary Carter. The Mets led the Montreal Expos by 4 games May 25th. Playing 33 of 46 at home, ball 2 to Carter. Their lead is 12.5 now, and that is important because after the All-Star break, they go on the road for 30 of 43 games, including a coast trip. Jams him with a fastball. He hits it sharply at Hubbard, and Glenn makes the play. 1 out. And the batter, Darryl Strawberry. He has struck out and grounded to second.
Right fielder,
Darryl trying to get up over that 300 mark again. Entered the game batting .298. Strike 1. You will be doing what during the All-Star break, Mr. Z?
Well, I'll be probably getting reacquainted with my family.
I understand. 0-2 to Strawberry.
As they are in Florida. And I think I'm going to swim a lot of laps.
Swim a lot of laps.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Remember our teeing it up, you ought to go out on the golf course
Get
and
ready.
practice a little bit for our tee time, which will be the 21st of August. Pebble Beach.
It'll take me that long to get ready.
You played every day, huh?
That's right. Although,
same here.
I'll go out cold and play probably just as well, if not better, than if I do practice.
Say, I thought baseball was a frustrating game. I've never played anything more frustrating than golf.
Well, we haven't played Pebble Beach yet either.
Well, I played it one time.
Oh, did you?
Only lost 12 balls and was very proud of myself. Did not break 100, however.
I'm going to buy a new gross of balls before we go.
2-2 to Strawberry. We have an off day. Our next trip to the coast, and a bunch of us, including Ralph Kiner, Rusty Staub, Bill Webb. That ought to be an experience, seeing Weber on that course. Little tapper towards third, and Strawberry's going to have a hit. No way to get Strawberry on that one. Hit number 4 for the Mets.
They're laughing about it. When things are going well, either individually or collectively, things like this seem to happen for a ball club. Darrell was really fooled by the pitch and just did get the end of the bat on us, and it turns out to be one of those ones that'll look like a rope in the box score tomorrow.
Looks like one of Bill Webb's tee shots.
Yeah, and he hit the right-handed, so it actually went behind him.
Here's George Foster.
When Webb's up, you don't know where to stand.
Dive for cover. Let us not forget, on the 21st of August, our executive caddy that day, Rick Miner.
Mr. Miner.
Slider, there goes Strawberry. A quick throw by Benedict. Oh, boy, you talk about a picture-perfect throw.
In addition, it didn't look like Darrell got a real big jump. Benedict put it right on the money, and look the margin by which Strawberry is thrown out. Man.
Benedict, bang, bang, to get Strawberry. All hit the glove, barely. What a release that was. 1-0 to Foster. 1-1. George with 13 home runs, 37 RBIs. Been threatening all day here at Shea. Rain-delayed game yesterday, nationally televised. Change up and a swing and a miss.
And one of the guys who has been watching all weekend is a Mets farmhand, Mark Willoughby, who is a Little Falls pitcher convalescing at Roosevelt Hospital for the past 3 weeks after undergoing an operation. And we want to wish Mark the best.
George fouls this one out. Mark was a pitcher at Little Falls, was he not?
That is correct.
Foster stays alive. It's 1-2. The Mets with 1 in the first, 1 in the sixth. They lead 2-0. Mets still the only team in the National League not to have been shut out. The Braves, on the other hand, have been shut out 4 times. And they trail in this one 2-0. It's 2-2 to Foster. Another little tap. This one in front of the plate, but it trickles foul. Benedict completing the play anyway. And Alexander has a lot of pitches, doesn't he?
All right. You and Ralph were talking earlier about how you need 2 hands to call them.
Kick off your shoes, too.
And I mentioned his multiplicity of deliveries. I mean, not only does he throw a wide assortment, but dropping down to right-handers and turning the ball over like he does.
With the Blue Jays, he was the unofficial pitching coach on the roster. They did have a pitching coach up there, but Alexander helping a lot of the young pitchers with Toronto, and they have a bunch of them, including Dave Steep. Winning 39 games, as you said, in 2.5 years. Had a sneaky fine career, hasn't he?
He's done it quietly.
It's like a backup slider. So it's 3-2 to George Foster.
With Alexander as a hitter, I guess the only thing you can go up there is just see the ball and hit it. It's tough to go up and guess or look for a pitch because you never know what you're going to get.
This should be a breaking ball. Line foul. Of course, he wiped twice there earlier above the belt. That usually adds on to pitches. And pitchers very rarely will turn over, meaning go past 4 and back to 1. Fastball got him on the corner. Strikeout number 5 by Alexander. 1 hit, nobody left here in the 7th, and after 7, 2-0 New York, and we'll be back after this word from Busch Beer. 4 hits, Atlanta with 9.
And if you go back to last year, in Ron Darling's last 27 starts, he has lost only 3 times. Now, he's got a pass of no decisions in there, as has been detailed earlier, including 4 no decisions in his last 5 starts this year, but only 3 losses in his last 27 starts.
This is the 6th straight time that Ron Darling has gone into the 7th or gone into the 8th inning. Ground ball to short. Santana gets Griffey. 1 pitch, 1 away here in the 8th inning.
Shortstop.
And the batter, Andres Thomas, to find shortstop. Pop to second, fly to center, and an infield hit to third. Also caught stealing back in the 2nd inning. There's a fastball for a strike to Thomas. I guess Thomas has won that job with Ramirez now moving around toward third base. Rafael Ramirez, I think if he gets away from Atlanta, would be a fine acquisition for a ball club.
Well, there were some rumblings earlier that he might be heading for New York. That didn't materialize. But Thomas has been doing the job offensively as well as defensively.
Fly ball to center. The ever-present Dyskstra is there. And he makes the catch.
But you do see it a lot, Tim, a change of scenery, especially at the stage of career that Ramirez is in right now. Really, more often than not, turns out to be very beneficial for a player.
Rafael Ramirez, I think, is still a very, very fine ball player. Bruce Benedict, the batter, he's 1 for 2 with a walk. Mentioned the Yankees. The Yankees instead got Paul Zuvella and Claudell Washington in the Ken Griffey trade. Zuvella with his first hit as a Yankee last night. An infield hit. And the bullpen congratulating him, standing up. It was on ESPN last night. It was really great. Paul now 1 for 29 as a Yankee. And it's 0-2 to Benedict. Yankees getting thumped soundly up the Hubert H. Humphrey Dome. 5-0, that game in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ralph Kiner will be, as always, after the game with all the scores and wrap-ups from both leagues and the star of the game. Here on Rusty Staub Day. Very emotional presentation before the game. Cardinal O'Connor here. Breaking ball, grounded to third. Easy play for Knight, and he throws out Benedict. That is the first time in this ball game that the Braves have gone quietly. After 7.5, it's 2-0 New York, and we'll be back after this word from Bell Atlantic. Baseball's hottest team flies south to battle it out with those Houston Astros from the Dome. Catch the excitement as the Mets bring it home Thursday night, 8:30 game time. That's New York time right here on Channel 9. And the Mets with a 2-0 lead. Here's Steve. All right, Stevie baby.
Thank you, Timmy.
Welcome.
43,480 enjoying this ball game today. 41,128 of them paid their way in here. So the Mets, some 5,000 over their average crowd.
Like
so far
Rusty
this year.
Staub had about 2,200 passes today, right?
That's right.
Made Arthur Richmond happy.
Arthur had 6 legal pads out writing down names. Rusty's mother was here from New Orleans. His sister and brother-in-law came in. And it was
Chuck?
Brother Chuck, that's right.
Yep.
His brother was here.
It was really a fine day and a fine presentation before the game.
Very well organized and very well presented. And obviously, Rusty very deserving. Well, Doyle Alexander deserves a better fate than he has acquired so far in this ball game. Trailing 2-0. He's given up just 4 base hits. He has not walked a batter. He has struck out 5. And Dykstra's triple and home run accounted for both runs and 2 of the 4 hits. He'll face the bottom of the order here in the bottom of the 8th. Ray Knight, Rafael Santana, and Ron Darling. Knight hits the first pitch in the air to right field. Marino going back near the track, 1 away. Doug Sisk and Jesse Orozco are warming up for the Mets. Should the call come for the top of the 9th inning.
Yeah, that top of the 9th, it's got Hubbard and a pinch hitter for Alexander, and then 2 left-handers that Jesse will be ready for, Marino and Oberkfell.
Santana takes strike 1. Raffy's 0 for 2. He flied to shallow right and struck out, swinging to end the 5th inning. 1 out, nobody on. 1-1. And what a first half it has been for the New York Mets. Davey saying the other day he almost hates to see the All-Star break come. Santana loops 1 to right. Marino on the run into right center hauls it in. 2 away.
Well, the Mets have been playing the type of ball where you want to just continue to play and play and play. When you're playing with as much momentum as they have played with, you don't get tired.
You really look forward to coming to the park every day.
Yes, sir.
What's going to happen today? What are we going to do and accomplish today? Darling 0 for 2 is grounded out and fly deep to Ken Griffey in left center field on a fine play by Griffey in the 6th inning. And a ground ball. It's a fair ball to first. Korner will take it himself in a 1-2-3 inning here in the 8th for Doyle Alexander. So we'll go to the 9th with the Mets trying to win yet another one, 2-0, leading the Atlanta Braves after this for Michelob. As we go to the 9th, Mookie Wilson in for George Foster in left field defensively. Mets lead at 2-0, and Ron Darling going for the complete game. And yes, in spite of popular demand, once again we present another edition of the incredibly stupid stat from today's game.
In spite of. Oh, I like it. Through 8 innings, Ron Darling has blown. Well, you can do that. Or can you? Wait a minute. You can't go to your hand. You can't go to your mouth 21 times.
Unless you've received permission from the umpire. Or he's off
the rubber. Aha! And Arthur's nailed us again. Touched his cap 30. Cleaned his spikes only 3 times. That's a surprise.
That's a big change from yesterday.
Yeah. Man, is that interesting.
Ron Darling, the subject of our incredibly stupid stat, has some pretty good stats. Working on a shutout, although he's given up 9 hits. And here in the 9th, with the 2-0 lead, he'll face Glenn Hubbard, a pinch hitter, and Omar Marino. Chris Chambliss out on deck to pinch hit for Doyle Alexander. Chambliss, a member of the bomb squad of the Atlanta Braves. Hubbard fouls the first one off for strike 1. Hubbard 1 for 2 plus a walk, single to center in the 6th inning. That, in spite of popular demand, goes along with the phrase, don't fail to miss it.
I like it.
Now Nubber to second. Backman, 1 away. So here's Chris. Chambliss on the year, hitting .368. He is 13 for 34 as a pinch hitter with a homer and 7 RBIs.
Those pinch hitters for the Braves have done very well. They're 38 for 135, a .281 average with 5 pinch hit home runs, 32 RBIs.
Ball 1. They call the reserves Ted Simmons, Chris Chambliss et al. The bomb squad, and they have taken to wearing old-style aviator caps, the leather caps with the flaps over the ears and the goggles in the dugout. Right in there for strike 2.
Atlanta, of course, on the super station, and have a lot of fans, and I understand that that's quite a selling item down there, those goggles and aviator caps.
Fly ball to left. Mookie Wilson with his first shot, coming hard after a late start. Got it. That ball in the very top of his webbing, and I don't see how it didn't hit the ground.
Well, just another day at the office. Defense, it did hit the ground, but he caught it at the same time. Look at that. See, that's a big web. Little snow cone. I think I'd like butter pecan. It'd be fine.
One scoop's enough. Thank you.
I'll tell you, one scoop only. Yes, sir. Use a glove for a cone.
The Mets flashing some leather today. Marino trying to bunt for a base hit. Darling throws him out, and the game is over. The New York Mets have won their 4th in a row after losing 3 in a row. They have also won 13 of their last 17 games, 27 of their last 38, and 34 victories in their last 48 games to push their record to a gaudy 59-25. And the Mets lead by at least 12.5, and it could be 13 or 13.5, depending on the outcome of the Cincinnati-Montreal game as they go to the All-Star break in command in the National League East and on a roll. And there is Tony Darling, the wife of Ron Darling, looking on as Darling picks up his first complete game and his 9th victory of the year. He is 9-2. Tim and I'll be back to wrap it up for you, and Ralph will have Kiners Korner, so stay with us. The Mets have defeated the Atlanta Braves and swept the series, winning the final.
Well, our guest in the show, Len Dyskstra, and also with Len Dykstra, his best fan, a person who knows him better than anybody else in the world. And that person is Marilyn Dykstra, his mother. And welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you.
Marilyn, how about Lenny when he was growing up? Do you think he was going to be a major league star?
Well, I think so. When he was a little guy, and every night before he'd go to bed, he slept with his bat, his ball, and his glove. And he used to pray, he says, please, God, let me be a pro ball player someday. And he had the desire since he was a real small little boy. And he used to go to Angel Stadium and try and sneak in the dugout. And one time I got a phone call, and they said, you better come down to the station and get your son, because he was trying to get to see Rod Carew, who was always his idol, and I had to go pick him up at the station, and we'll never forget that.
Lenny, do you have any problems like that?
No, Ralph, I don't. That was a long time ago. I just want to see what a clubhouse looked like.
Well, you sure have an attractive mother, and of course that doesn't hurt anything at all, and she follows your career, and she's been involved with you, and you have done something that no one expected. With the possible exception of the two of you right there, you have just torn up the National League in the first half of the season.
Thank you, Ralph. Things are going real well right now. I feel real good at the plate, and it's nice to be part of a winning ball club. And we just got a total team effort right now. And if we can continue to play the way we played the first half, I got to believe we're going to run away with it.
Well, one of the important parts of the ball game was when the Atlanta Braves threatened to tie the ball game at 1-1. The Mets were leading by a score of 1-0. Lenny had triple and came in on a ground ball to score the first run of the ball game. And here is Griffey, who had singly stole second base, a walk to Bruce Benedict, and then this base hit by Glenn Hubbard to center field. You think you had him when the ball was hit?
Well, I don't think he got a good turn around third. It looked like he stumbled a little, and Gary did a great job blocking the play. That was a big factor right there. And the ball skipped real well for me.
And it was a great throw by you. Now, you follow this great defensive play with this right here.
Yeah, I just waited that time, Ralph, and that ball felt real perfect, you know, hit it on a sweet spot.
And it was your 4th home run of the year. Last year you hit 1 home run. That was in your first game for the New York Mets. And as you go around here, you have hit in 6 straight ball games and have had 16 hits in your last 24 at-bats. That's unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm finding the holes, and just like today, my first time up, I hit a line drive right in Murphy, and he falls. When you're hot, you're hot, and things are going real good right now, and you know, that's what it takes. Just can't do no wrong.
Does your mother bring you luck when she's at the ballpark?
She seems to, yeah. When I was in the minor leagues, she came out and visited me, and I seem to play well there too. So she'll probably be here for the World Series too.
Well, she's a great inspiration. There's no doubt about it. Marilyn, thank you very much for coming on the show with Lenny. And
Thank you for having me, Ralph.
It's got to be a thrill to watch your son play like that.
It certainly is. Thank you.
All right, we'll be back to talk with Rusty Staub on his day here today, and also look at the highlights and check out the scoreboard right after this message from Mitsubishi Motors. Well, we have with us Rusty Staub on this special occasion. It's Rusty Staub Day here at Shea Stadium. Rusty, it was really a great tribute to your fantastic 23-year career, and you must be thrilled.
Ralph, I'm sure in about a week or two, in a year or two, that I'm going to reflect on this and really be awed by it. I've tried to really just not play like it's happening. I didn't think I was going to be able to handle it. My family was all here. It was, as much as I tried to contain my emotions, it was very emotional. I deeply appreciate the ball club doing that for me, and the way everybody handled it. I'll never forget it.
And you donated $25,000 to your favorite charity.
Well, that was through the generosity of the ball club. We're going to be able to send some kids to school, and that really is something I wanted to do. I had very great fortune during my young years to have enough athletic ability to be able to, although it was a scholastic scholarship, you can bet it was because I could play ball. I'd like to return that if I can a little bit, and I deeply appreciate the way the ball club handled it.
Well, Rusty, honored by the Mets and also honored by the fans out here today and honored by his teammates. Let's take a look at Keith Hernandez as he comes out and gets involved with the ceremony.
It's a great honor for me in representing our team who love Rusty and miss him deeply. The Big Orange, who was a great friend of mine and everybody's. We have a plaque for Rusty. And if I can bring the guys out with the award now, guys, would you come on out?
Tell you, it was the right timing because it was getting a little heavy at that time, and when I saw these crazy guys coming out with the wigs, I figured I had a chance.
Daniel J. Staub, for meritorious service, your friend.
Well, the thing about that, of course, is the throwback to your days with the Montreal Expos when you were known as the Grand Orange by the bilingual French-speaking, American-speaking fans in Montreal, and that's a great part of your career up there. And, of course, your career with the Houston Astros, the Detroit Tigers, the Texas Rangers, and the New York Mets. 9 years with the Mets.
Steve's bed. And they remember Rusty. He made his mark, it's true, in Montreal and Houston, the Motor City Zoo. But when the cheers are only echoes in those other cities' parks, we'll remember us
has been brought to you by Miller Light Beer. For great taste, there's only one light beer. By NatWest USA, the people and the resources you need today and tomorrow. By Mitsubishi Motors, Mitsubishi takes you where you want to be. And by McDonald's, where it's always a good time for the great taste. Ralph Kiner's guests will receive a gift from...